From blazing it up in the kickboxing scene to becoming the undisputed UFC welterweight champion, there might just be enough evidence as to why Leon Edwards will beat Kamaru Usman. And as he prepares for his first title defense at UFC 286, here are some reasons why Rocky might just knock out the Nigerian. For one thing, he has a lot of momentum going into the fight.
Even the fight I want, but like I said, it's hard to make it make sense. Even when I was hearing that Usman might be injured on social media, I phoned the UFC just saying, is he injured or not? If he is, just trying to slide.
At UFC 278, Leon was able to change things so much that it's hard to believe. The fighter pulled off such a spectacular head kick that was perfect in every way. I mean, if he hadn't been able to get such a huge kick out of the fire, it would have been the easiest choice ever. Also, if you look at the whole 25-minute fight, Usman was on top for 24 of those minutes. But that's what makes it such a mind-blowing comeback. And if luck's on his side again, then I think the UFC 278 will help the new champion a lot as he gets ready to defend his title for the first time against the man he stole it from. Plus, the fighter's all set to go into UFC 286 with newfound confidence.
It's been a long fight for 4 years. Don't doubt me, I couldn't do it. The odds that I couldn't do it. Look at me now. Level pound for pound, headshot, dead.
While on the other hand, the Nigerian Nightmare will feel the heat because he clearly underestimated Rocky in their last fight. Also, you can argue all you want about how Usman had it under control, but the truth is that Leon stopped at least 2 takedowns in the last round of the fight. He had been planning a knockout the whole round. And after that beautiful head kick, I really think he deserved to win. Oh, and this time, the champion has the advantage of being at home. Edwards has never been this excited before. Most fighters would be scared to defend their title for the first time, but Rocky wasn't one of them. And even though he's happy to be fighting in front of his home crowd, there's a really cool story behind it. Believe it or not, Leon has never lost a fight in the UK. Amateur or professional, he's always won. And you know how I said he's going to be riding a wave of confidence into UFC 286? Well, imagine how he'll feel knowing he's invincible in the UK. So yeah, I think he's going to have a solid advantage because of his mindset. He's fighting in a familiar setting, and since he's already knocked him out once, he knows it's possible again.
Leon Edwards, UFC welterweight champion of the world. How does that sound?
It sounds beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's been a long road, a long, hard road, and that's the reason why I broke down in the cage, because the road was hard to get here, you know. It all died to me, so I couldn't do it. He's a pound for pound best in.
The Nigerian isn't all invincible. He falls just like every other fighter in the division, and when they finally square off on the night of action, Leon will have his head up high, knowing he can do it all over again. And for everyone thinking it was a fluke or something, there's actually a video of him practicing that head kick multiple times during training. Credit to him for waiting 24 minutes to execute it though. I still can't believe how he was able to stay so composed the entire fight, despite losing every single round. Even UFC commentator Joe Rogan thinks Leon has the conviction to do it all over again. What does Joe mean by that?
And then when you see behind the scenes, the struggle with weight cut, dealing with injuries, dealing with, training scenarios and coaching and all the shit they have to go through to get to the cage and to have the cage door shut is a fucking miracle.
Well, in simple words, the fact that he did it at UFC 278 means he'll do it at UFC 286. Or look at it this way, since he knows he can do it again, he'll be actively searching for it in London. I think Kamaru has a better chance if he plans to let the fight go on for a long time. I still think Usman is the better fighter, which might seem very controversial. I'm not taking any sides here though. Technically, he has what it takes to make the fight last longer and win by decision.
I made him better, and he went out there and he started wrestling. But when he fights me again, he's going to realize that wrestling was all for nothing. Of course, I fell in love with my striking. That's why I have more knockouts in championship fights than he has in the UFC his entire career.
On the other hand, Leon needs to do something big in each round to win. So yeah, I think Leon knows that to win the fight, he needs to either knock him out or hit him with some nasty blows. That's just one way to look at it though. It all depends on how the champions feel that day. If he sees it as a challenge, it's obviously going to be a lot harder. But if he goes into the ring knowing he can do it all over again, Rocky might be able to knock Kamaru out a second time. Besides, Kamaru Usman is not as good of a striker as Leon Edwards is. As he has grown as a mixed martial artist, the Nigerian Nightmare has emerged as a strong wrestler. Sure, he's improved his striking skills, but he almost never uses his striking outside of boxing.
That I just envisioned them landing, and that one was one of them. You know, I tried the second one in the first round, but he's a veteran. You know, he's game, and he saw it coming. So I just had to stay composed, and I was going to find it.
Most of the time, Usman doesn't use kicks or knees. This may be because his knees are worn out. That's what time does to many, huh? He instead changes his stance and uses jabs, straights, and crosses, even though the former champion fights mostly from the orthodox position because his jab is so strong. As a southpaw, Leon Edwards traps his opponent's lead hand with his lead hand to stop their jab. Kamaru Usman can't use his jab anymore, so he has no choice but to switch to a southpaw stance. This is bad because it plays right into the strengths of Rocky. When fighting southpaws, the reigning welterweight kingpin counters southpaw jabs with a cross counter. That loops over the top and stings opponents who don't expect it. Usman moves his head to the outside or the inside to avoid getting hit, but that's not nearly enough to take his opponent down. You see, Leon Edwards is a fighter who rarely runs out of steam during a match. He's often in great shape physically, but UFC 278 took place at a high elevation in Salt Lake City, so the air there is thinner, making it hard for fighters to get enough oxygen to their muscles. The high elevation made Leon Edwards tired, just like Mexico City did to Cain Velasquez when he fought Fabricio Werdum. He got tired much more quickly than usual. This was good for the Nigerian Nightmare, who trains at a high altitude. In their rematch, which will be held in London, this won't be the case. At a lower elevation, Rocky won't get tired as quickly. The last time he did this against Rocky, he put his head right where a powerful head kick was coming from. In their trilogy fight, Usman will also have to worry about being set up for such kicks. And if there's one thing that I admit, it's the fact that Kamaru Usman is a mixed martial artist with a lot of skill. However, unfortunately, just having skills isn't always enough to win in the cage. We've seen enough of that throughout years of UFC. Only talent and skills aren't enough to help a fighter win. Sparring and working out in the gym are the best ways for a fighter to learn how to react to the habits of their next opponent. Unfortunately, the Nigerian Nightmare might not have had enough time to train before his trilogy fight. Due to his knockout loss, Usman had to follow a doctor's order to stay away from serious sparring. This kept him from going to the gym right away to work out. Everything comes at a cost, right? Also, in the last week of December, Usman was seen with a hand brace on. If he hasn't been able to train because of an injury, he might not be ready for the Rocky fight. If he goes into the octagon in anything less than top shape, he's not likely to win. But like you guys, I'm all in for some entertainment. So let's see where this fight takes us. With that, that's all for how Leon Edwards will beat Kamaru Usman.